Every book I've written in the same way, that it's always, the inspiration is always something that really happened, and then firstly I go back to try to find, the details of it, the newspaper, go to the newspapers of the time. I need to know, was it raining on this day? Was it sunny on this day? What was on the radio? What was on the television? What was in the news? All this kind of thing I need to know. And then I try to read the so-called non-fiction about this incident or this event. And as I'm doing the research, kind of scenes come to mind and characters come to mind, and some kind of researching with one hand and writing with the other hand, and then the book just, really, to be honest, it becomes like it's almost like a film inside my head, and then gradually the film becomes more real. Tokyo Year Zero is based on the case of Kodaira Yoshio, who was he was an imperial soldier for the Japanese army in China. He was a soldier, so he killed for the army, but he also, by his own admission, he raped and murdered civilians. And he was given medals. Then he came back to Tokyo, and basically he kept doing the same thing. Between 1945 and 1946, he raped and murdered 10 women, possibly more. I discovered the case very early in 1994. I was reading a book called Tokyo Rising, which is by Edward Seidensecker, and is a great book about the history of Tokyo from the 1923 earthquake, which destroyed most of the city, up to the death of the Emperor Showa in 88 or 89. And in this book is a very small paragraph about the building of Tokyo Tower. And Mr. Seidensecker says that, on the site where Tokyo Tower, this landmark, stands, this was the place that the police found two bodies, the last two bodies, who were killed by Kodaira Yoshio. And I was kind of intrigued to know more. But it was difficult to find information. It was difficult. The case now is not very well known in Japan, so it was difficult to find more. But I always had this kind of, this was maybe, in the same way that I thought that the Yorkshire Ripper case allowed you to examine the political and social context of the crimes. I felt the same thing about this case.